All right, we just started in this swamp area here. This is actually a high spot, and we saw a couple of good trails crossing here, and I said to Cody, man, it'd be nice if there was a good scrape over there. And we look over, and sure enough, there's a real nice scrape here with a grapevine coming down, natural grapevine. And I'm gonna come back with a camera for this spot. I definitely feel any buck is going to be in here after dark, any mature buck that is anyways, but at least I will know what's in the area so I can put a hunt in on their beds. But if you look here, this thing is all twisted up, tore up from a buck twisting his rack in there, and it's just perfect here. I know there's good bucks in this area because I had a cell cam in this area, just kind of monitoring it this last fall, and there's some real good bucks in here. So that's what we're in here now. We're gonna start finding more beds and try to get some of these bucks figured out. So here we go. Look at that, it's all tore up here too. That's crazy, it's all tore up in here. So golly, I'm excited about this spot. Woo! See what hell yeah. All right, so parking lot's not too far from here at all. We're real close, but there's ditches around it, and you know, there's these lines of pines that come along here, a high spotted ditch, and typically most guys wouldn't even bother looking at this as mature buck bedding area, but man, it's so overlooked, it's crazy. So we get in here already, I can see beds. That's actually a bed. We just had a bunch of rain, but that's usually would be dry. It's down to the dirt. That's how much they've used that bed. That's just off this point. I can see inside already, there's just beds. And there's gonna be beds all the way down. The trails coming out of here going to mainland are crazy. So this is definitely a good area to make sure we throw a couple hunts in. It's kind of tough because they may not even make it into land until dark. So there's one like goofy tree right here that's probably about 60-70 yards away that we can get in. But yeah, it's definitely worth. We're gonna have to walk this and check it out. All right, so we just got inside this little thermal cover here, and this bed is completely wore down to the dirt. You can just see it's a flat spot, and then the other bed that we were looking at is literally right there. So yeah, it's only going to get better as we get further down too, because I would think the mature bucks would be all the way down further. But if you turn around and take a look, there's actually a rub there too, a good rub, and there's another bed right there in that hump. So yeah, this is definitely an area where it looks like something wrapped its horns around this too, but these are the kind of areas I look for, that's for sure. Oh. This one here is just really twisted up good, and there's a major bed right over there. We've passed probably 10 beds already since we walked off that point, and like 50 yards down. Definitely is a bedding area, buck bedding area. It's just like I said, riddled full. Nice rubs, big rubs, high rubs.
So Gary's kind of ran up ahead up here. He's excited about the sign we're finding, and I actually dropped the camera, and it kind of gave me a second to sit at what a deer's level would be and look out, and it really emphasizes why these deer and probably some good bucks are using this particular point to bed on rather than other points in this area. And I'll show you that in a second, but I want to explain it. So not only do they have the thermal cover, they have wind advantage, but they also have a phenomenal sight advantage here. This is almost a 3 or 4 foot raise in the middle of this marsh. And I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you in a second, but anybody coming in here, they have perfect sightline. They would see and be able to monitor anybody coming in. They'd be able to wind them, and they're going to easily hear that anybody trampling through this to come get to them. Really, this is an unhuntable spot, which is in high pressure areas what makes for big deer to get age on them. You're going to have to wait for a buck to slip up and make it to you in the daylight. And we're definitely going to check that out when we get down here. We're going to check out the exit routes and see what we could capitalize on and look for mistakes. But this is just a really textbook foolproof setup in a high pressure state here in Wisconsin. And it's really cool to get out here and pick it apart. And this was one of Gary's pins, and it's just setting up beautifully.
As you can see, there's some phragmites mixed in with these cattails. Big giant bed right here. This is where a lot of these big bucks like to bed, is on the edge of phragmites. My favorite place for them is actually in willows, but in this case there is no willows in this area, so they're using these phragmites as their backdrop. It's just a giant bed here. There's trails through these cattails like you wouldn't believe. It's kind of funny because how would you hunt this? Like, this is why some of these bucks get so big. They can stay in here and never be bothered, because who's going to come in here bow hunting? So you could either sit on the ground with a 5-gallon bucket and off a trail, pick a trail that you think he's coming in on. But what I would do is I would hunt the edge up there on a real windy day, windy evening, because what would happen then is your thermals are going to want to drop down into these cattails, and at that point you don't want that, because you're hoping to come out of the cattails. So on a good brisk day, I would get up on there, and that would do two things. One, you know, I'd have a good chance if they came out far enough, but two, it gives me an observation set if I want to do an on the ground hunt, which is something I'm looking into for this year. All right, so you got a trail coming out from that bedding area here, and found this rub. It's not giant by any means, but it looks like it's been rubbed a couple of years. And you see the trail leading into what is oaks, probably to feed or to scooch down to some private ag. So kind of cool, nice sign. I'd like to see something bigger though. Honestly, I know they're in here, I have no doubt about that, but it's just figuring out where exactly they're all bedding. All right, here we go. Look at this. This is what we're looking for. Tits high. I mean, the middle is, this is a mature buck without a doubt. And we just came out of that cattail swamp with all those trails and that bedding in those pines. And we come up here and boom, here it is. And we actually found a scrape not even 20 yards away coming out of that bedding area. That just goes to show how they're staying out there, staging, and then coming onto dry land, probably after dark, and doing stuff like this. This is awesome. I'm pretty excited about this. Here we go. This has been rubbed on both sides coming in and out. It's a pretty good one here, and it's heading right towards that pine bedding that we were looking at earlier. So that just confirms what we're seeing. So we got a couple spots to throw some cameras in. We got some trees marked to throw some hunts at, and we're probably gonna motor on, but this is awesome. Love it. Here we are, probably that same buck, same height, came through. He rubbed two sides of it again, coming out of that that bedding that we were checking out. Man, some deep grooves. Tells me that it's a big buck. So yeah, walking along here, there's goldenrod. I don't know, a lot of people don't know the actual how this works, but these pods here actually have worms in them. A bug comes along, lays an egg in there, and these things grow around the worms. My dad and I used to find these in the fall and pick them and cut them open to get the small grubs out of there for ice fishing. So every time I see these, I think of my dad. Kind of cool.
So we're on this, it's kind of a cedar point line with some swamp on either side. And we were kind of trying to figure out where the big buck sign was in here. And lo and behold, we finally got on a line where we found some better sign, and we started following it back, and we come across this guy. This is tore up both sides here. And I'm 5'6", and you can see it comes all the way up under this branch. That's a fully mature buck right there. That's a good sign to see. And this buck, it's funneling out on this point. We haven't got out there, but I suspect there's some type of bedding over here. And we're surrounded by some agriculture, which is probably why this buck is in here. He has not only thermal cover, which makes me think this could be late season bedding, but at the same time, again, he has water flanking him, food. He's probably on this point out here. A lot of sign running out here. Just another textbook find. So this, I'm excited about this. This is what you come when you go out of state. You want to find this sign because this tells you there's a big boy in the area, a big mature buck, and gets you excited for the fall.
There's going to be a creek. Here's another. That would make sense if he's coming straight through because he's cutting across all these doe trails, looking, scent checking. For sure, without a doubt. There's got to be a scraper on here.
So we're walking through here where we found those big rubs out in these cedars, and there's a pretty hard transition line here. We're just south of a really big thick marsh on this transition line. And it's very obvious this is a cruising trail. It's kind of, again, another textbook example. A lot of rut activity running down this trail, just cruising the downwind side of what's probably a lot of doe bedding in here. So this isn't an early season setup. This would definitely be more of a rut setup, but from what we're finding in some of those cedars, which is potential bedding early season and late, and then the doe bedding out in the marsh and this trail on this transition, this could set up to where you're making them early seasons hunts a little bit shallower, a little bit closer to the water and where the bucks are moving around early, and then you're pushing a little bit deeper, getting a little bit more aggressive here in the rut, coming back on this hard transition and working these lines in here. Just really awesome textbook spot again. You know, pretty basic rut transition, but just a solid spot to find a lot of good sign, and hopefully it's more to come, and we can maybe find a scrape somewhere soon to set up on.
Got some good looking branches here and here. Looks like this was at one time a scrape too, but there's fresh rubs. Man, this is definitely this is it. Like it's such an edge between that swamp and the CRP here with the cedars in it. Like this definitely is where a buck would cruise if he were to cruise through. So yeah, I definitely feel this is definitely worth our time to come back to. I got it marked for camera. We'll come back. You can see it's still even worked up now. So yeah, this is the pot of gold we were looking for. All right, here we got a 4-finger track. Here's his dew claws. Dude, that is a good track. He's still around. That big boy is still around. Look at that. That's crazy awesome, man. Heck yeah. That's what we're looking for. Confirmation he's still alive. So that really, we need to pick this apart even better. Get some camera locations ready, and heck yeah. Man, that's a good track. That is. All right. Woo. came up a ditch line here, and we had this marked as a point of interest. I was over in the corner on the edge of the cattails, probably about 20 yards away, and a real dandy buck got up. He's dropped already, but he's for sure at least a 3 or 4 year old, and here's his bed. You can see how worn it is. It's down to basically the dirt, but in these swamps in this kind of area here, you won't find a lot of rubs. It's really weird. That's generally how they are. You'll find your rubs and your scrapes on highland. But yeah, so we actually got confirmation on him, and I was only 20 yards away when he got up. So man, we're hitting some good stuff in every place we go. So onward, more to be discovered. We're checking this point out to see, you know, what else we could find as far as bedding goes, and just look at the size of this bed. It's just giant, and there's beds everywhere in this corner pocket. And we were in a different section earlier. I was trying to figure out how the bucks were using that area, and I honestly think they're over here crossing a channel, a river, and going up to the other side there. We couldn't find what we were looking for over there. Then we jump in here, and it makes sense because who wants to cross that ditch? The ditch is pretty deep. There's beavers running up and down it. So we had to kind of pick our way through it and got across it. But yeah, there's another bed over here with deer hair in it from shedding already because it's been so warm. This is just unbelievable. You would never guess this looking at it, that there'd be good bucks in here because there's just no rubs around here. But they're in here. Like I said, they'll leave their marks up on the edges of the fields and the highlands, but they don't do too much in the swamps like this. There actually is an old rub right here, but traditionally not too much in these bedding areas. So this is pretty exciting. We're got this marked up, and we're gonna cruise, keep going. That's pretty good. He's a decent one. Hopefully he's still alive so we can kill him.
This is really cool. It's kind of a dream of mine to find a bed like this. It just lays out so beautifully. He's laid under here on very obviously multiple different winds. There's literally a rub in it. I mean, this is crazy. We're way back in the swamp, and we found this little high point with just a couple of little cedars in here. And we were just ranting and raving about all the sign we were finding kind of shooting out, and I'm like, wow, I want to come over here and just in case maybe look for a shed, because we bumped that buck about 30 minutes ago, and lo and behold, coming over here, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful bed. It's so obvious. You obviously can't miss it. But just a dream of mine. This is a really, really cool situation to be in, and to find something this manicured from a deer's perspective. Now we got to tear it apart and see what we can do to get in on it.
Been on there a while. She's pretty tight. We're coming down this edge. There's a ditch line over on the side, and there's just this really good trail coming out of where we found all that buck bedding. And I found a real good scrape here. Licking branch still has deer hair on it. So this is definitely a spot where I will get a camera in and get pictures to see what's all hitting it. But to me, what's exciting about it, it was aggressive enough to get through all this canary grass and get down and really work it good. So that tells me that whatever made this has probably been coming back and working it pretty hard. So definitely well worth coming back and getting some spray on the slicking branch to keep it going. Let them work it up good. And this is a little cottonwood here, huh? Jesus. Woo!
Well, we just wrapped up our day here. I think we're at about 10.5 miles, something like that. And overall, I feel like I've been a little lied to about what Wisconsin was supposed to be like. You know, I'm from Iowa, and I get pretty spoiled with Iowa public land at times. And I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I'm walking around and we're finding sign, and I felt like I was back in Iowa. I'm really actually surprised about how much we found, the sign, how good it was, and just overall the ability to pick things apart and kind of getting into the picking things apart. I really couldn't do it without Gary here. Not only are we game planning these areas together, but just using coming off of his knowledge and using some of my nice opinions, and we're really putting some puzzle pieces together, and it's just been a really fun day.
Yeah, I definitely think that with seeing an actual mature buck on its tracks, finding mature buck tracks, and the sign that we've seen, we really hit a jackpot here. So definitely excited for this fall. We have 4 days of scouting yet, buddy.
Yeah.
So we should. We're gonna probably hit another side of this big marsh, then Sunday possibly go to a whole complete different area.
Yeah. I think that's the game plan. I don't know if you guys were able to hear how much with the wind there, but definitely been fun. And we got a couple more days here, so I believe there's going to be a part 2 and maybe even a part 3. So you guys will want to catch those.
Right. Yeah.